Welcome to Study Room for Computer Science. In my today's video lecture, I would like to solve some C programming questions useful for UGC NET and GATE examination on the topic functions and recursion. Let us directly move on to the question number 1. In question number 1, we have a C program in that a function called dynamic is defined, and that function is called 2 times in the main function. So we have to predict the output of this program. Whenever a function dynamic is called from the main function, the control will be transferred to the dynamic function. Okay, so let us see the definition of the function dynamic. Its return type is void, and name is dynamic already specified, and its formal arguments contains int s comma 3 dots. These 3 dots in the list of formal arguments in the function definition indicates it can take any number of arguments, and this concept in C programming is known as ellipsis. So whenever a first function call occurs, the first value will be transferred to the variable s, and whenever this printf statement is executed, the value 2 will get printed. Okay, and whenever this second function call occurs, this dynamic function is again called. The first value will be transferred to the variable s, and when this printf statement is executed, 3 will get printed. So the output of this program is 2 and 3. So in my coming video, we will see how these variable arguments can be handled by using ellipsis. Okay, so let us move on to the question number 2. Let us read the question. The value of j at the end of the execution of the following C program. So we have a C program, and in that a function called incr. So that incr function is called inside a for loop in the main function. Let us find the value of j at the end of the execution of this program. So let us simply, in order to do this kind of questions, we can simply write a table in main function and incr function. Okay, in main function we have a variable called I and j, and in incr function we have a variable called count and I and count. Okay, and this count is a static variable. Which means that if a variable is static in a function, its value will be retained in each and every function call. It will not get reinitialized whenever a next function call occurs. Okay, so let us start with the main function. Main function I equal to 0, initially I equal to 0, and whenever it enters into the for loop, for I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 4, it calls the function incr of I. So whenever it calls the function incr of I, this I in function incr will get the value 0, and static in count equal to 0. So count is initialized with 0. If this count is not initialized with 0, it will automatically get initialized to 0 because it is a static variable. Okay, so then count equal to count plus I, then count equal to count plus I. So count will be updated to 1, count will be updated to count equal to 0, I equal to 0, so count will still remain 0. Okay, then it will return the value of count. So this j will get the value of count, the value of count equal to 0, so j will update it to 0. Okay, so then it will update the value of I equal to 1, then I less than or equal to 4, then it will again call the incr of I with the value I equal to 1. At that time, this I will get the value 1, then count will be updated, count equal to count plus I. In previous function call, the value of count equal to 0, so this count will get updated to 1. So whenever it returns the value count, this j will get the value 1. Now this j is updated to 1. So then I is updated to 2, then it will again call the function. So this I equal to 2, then count equal to count plus 2. The previous count value is 1, then this 1 plus 2, the value of count equal to 3. Whenever this return count executes, this j will get the value 3. Then I equal to 3, then again this I will get the value 3, then count equal to count plus I. So you will get the value this 3 plus 3 6 you will get. Okay, then whenever this return statement execute, again this j will get the value 6. Then I is again incremented, I less than or equal to 4. 4 is there. Then in whenever this incr is called, this I will get the value 4, count equal to count plus I, then 4 plus 6 10. Then it will return the value count, so this j will get the value 10. Then I is incremented, it is 5, then 5 less than or equal to 4, that statement is false, so it will finally return the value of j as 10. So option A is the right answer. Let us move on to the question number 3. In this question we have a function called foo, and that function foo is called from the main function with the values 2048 and sum. Okay, so let us simply call the function foo of 2048 comma 0. Okay, so whenever this function call occurs, that control will be transferred to the function foo. Okay, so in foo n will get the value 2048, and sum will get the value 0, sum will get the value 0, and k equal to 0 and k equal to j equal to 0, the initial values. And if n double equal to 0, it will return, but n is not double equal to 0, so k equal to n mod 10. Modulus operation is used for get the remainder during arithmetic division. So when 2048 is divided with 10, we will get the remainder as 8. So k equal to 8, k equal to 8, j equal to n by 10, 2048 divided by 10. We will actually get the value 204.8, but both are integers, so it will simply store the value 204 in the j. Then sum equal to sum plus k. Initially sum equal to 0 and k equal to 8, so sum equal to 8, sum equal to 8. And in that function call, it is again calling the function foo with the values foo of j comma sum. What is the value of j? J is 204 and 8, sum equal to 8. Whenever this function called returns, it should print the value k, but before printing this k, it is again called the function 204 comma 8. So let us simply keep the value of k in this function call, because whenever it returns, we need to print that value k. So we can simply remember the value here, k equal to 8 here, k equal to 8, and it is again calling the function foo of 204 comma 8. Okay, whenever it is called, it is again transfer the control to the function here. So at that time n will get the new value. Let's simply erase all those things. N will get the new value, n equal to 204, n equal to 204, and sum equal to 8, sum equal to 8. Again k equal to 0 and j equal to 0, and then k equal to n mod 10. So n mod 10 k you will get 204 mod 10, we will get the value 4. J equal to n by 10, 204 divided by 10, actually 20.4, but j will store the value 20. Then sum equal to sum plus k, sum equal to sum plus k, sum equal to initially 8, then 8 plus 4, sum equal to 12. And in this function called the value of k equal to 4, that we can simply record here. And then it will call the function foo of j comma sum. What is the value of j? J equal to 20 comma sum equal to 12. So it will again call the function foo of 20 comma 12. So what will happen? So the control will be again transferred to this function. So let us see. Can erase all those things. Now n will get the value, n will get the value 20, sum will get the value 12, k equal to 0 and j equal to 0. When k equal to n mod 10 executes, k equal to 0 because 20 mod 10. Then j equal to n by 10, 20 by 10, you will get the value 2. Then sum equal to sum plus k, sum equal to 12, 12 plus 0, sum equal to 12. Then foo of j comma sum. What is the value of j? 2 comma 12. And in that time you can simply record the value of k here, k equal to 0 here, so I am simply recording here 0. Then foo of 2 comma 12, foo of 2 comma 12. So at that time this n will get the value 2, and then sum will get the value 12. Then k equal to, what is the value of k? What is the value of k here? K equal to n mod 10, 2 mod 10. We cannot divide 2 with 10, so the remainder is 2. J is nothing but n by 10. N by 10 is nothing but 2 by 10. Actually we will get the value 0.2, but J will store the value 0. And whenever this foo is called, then foo of J is nothing but 0. What is the value of sum? Sum equal to sum plus k, sum equal to 12, and 12 plus 2, sum equal to 14. It will call the function 14, 0 comma 14. At that time value of k equal to 2, that you can simply record here 2. So whenever this 0 comma 14 is called, foo of, I'm simply writing here, foo of 0 comma 14. Whenever this 0 comma 14 is called, n will get the value 0. N will get the value 0. What will happen? So it will check whether n double equal to 0. N double equal to 0, it will return. So this function will return to this function. So this is called from here. So this function will return to here. So this function will return to here. So at that time this function will get printed. So it will print the value 2. And whenever this function is returns, it will return to 20 comma 12. So it will print the value 0. And it will return to 2048. It will print the values 4. It will return to the function this one. So it will print the value 2048. And so finally it will reach here. And at that time it will print the value, print of percentage d comma sum. Sum is having value 14 inside this function, and this sum is local to here. Okay, so this sum is again 0, and because this sum is 0 here, whenever we are passing this sum to here, this sum is passing as a pass by value. At that time the value changed in formal parameter will not get affected to this actual parameter. So even the sum is having value 14 inside the function foo, but this sum is local to this function, that will not get reflected to this main function. So sum will be having value 0. So option D is the right answer, 2048 and 0. Let us move on to the question number 4. In question number 4 we have a function f, and that function is called with the value 5, f of 5. Okay, so whenever this function is called, it will transfer the control to the function f, and in that we have a static variable called r, and that is initialized with 0. And it will check if n greater than 3, the value of n equal to 5, so n greater than 3 is true. So the r will get initialized, so r will get replaced with the value 5. So because the value of n equal to 5, then it will return, it will call the statement return f of n minus 2 plus 2. So it will call the function f of n minus 2 plus 2. So f of, what is the value of n equal to 5, so f of 3 plus 2. Whenever this function f of 3 is called, again this control will be transferred to here. And r is a static variable, so it will retain the value of r, and it will check whether n less than or equal to 0, that is false because n is equal to 3. And it will check whether n greater than 3, n equal to 3, so this is false. So it will call the statement return f of n minus 1 plus r. So f of n minus 1, f of 2, the value of r is not changed, r equal to 5. Again it will come to this function f. Whenever this f of 2 is called, then all these statements are false, and again it will call f of n minus 1 plus r, that is nothing but f of 1 plus r is nothing but 5. So again it will call f of 1. Whenever it is called f of 1, all those statements are false. N less than or equal to 0 is false, n greater than 3 is false. So it will again call f of n minus 1, f of 0 plus 5. Okay, whenever it is called with 0, this statement will be true if n less than or equal to 0. So it will return the value 1. So f of 0 will return the value 1. So 1 plus 5, 6 will be returned to f of 1. 6 plus 5, 11 will be returned to f of 2. 11 plus 5, 16. That 16 will be returned to f of 3. 16 plus 2, 18. That 18 will be returned to f of 5. So 18 is the right answer, option D. Let us move on to the question number 5. In this question, we have a C program, and in that we have three functions f1, f2 and f3, and that is defined here, both f1, f2 and f3. And we have one global variable in x equal to 10, and inside a main we have one global variable with the same name, and it is initialized with the x equal to 1. And we have the statement x plus equal to, which is equivalent to x equal to x plus f1 plus f2 plus f3 plus again f2. Okay, so let us see what will happen when these statements is executed. So when function f1 is called, it will execute int x equal to 25 and x plus plus, and it will return x. So inside a function f1 there is a local variable x, and that is initialized with 25, and it will be incremented by 1, and it will return the value x. So x will become 26, and 26 will be returned to here, 1 plus 26 plus. Then f2, what will happen? In f2 we have one static variable in x equal to 50, and it will increment the value of x by 1, and it will return the value. So we will get 51. Then when we come across function f3, x star equal to 10, that is nothing but x equal to x star 10, but there is no x is declared in this function, so it will take the global variable x equal to 10. So x equal to x star 100, that is nothing but x equal to 100, it will return the value 100. It is again calling the function f2, and when it is calling the function f2 and x is a static variable, so it will retain the previous value of x. The previous value of x in f2 is nothing but 51, so the 51 will be incremented by 1, so the new value returned by f2 is nothing but 52. So when we are adding all those values, 100 plus 52, 51, 26 and 1, we'll get the value 230. So option A is the right answer. Let us move on to the question number 6. In question number 6, we have a function called jumble with formal arguments x and y, and it is simply calculating x equal to 2 star x plus y and return the value of x. Let us see what will happen when this function calls. In main function, we have two variables, x equal to 2 and y equal to 5, and it is simply calling the function jumble of y comma x. So it will simply call, I'm not writing the name of the function, y comma x, so it will simply call 5 comma 2. So this will come to here. So in that time x will get the value 5 and y will get the value 2, and it will simply calculate 2 star x plus 5. 2 star x is 2 into 5 plus 2, 2 into 5, 2 into 5, 2 into 5 plus 2, it will get the value 12. It will simply return the value of, it will simply return the value of x, and that will get stored in this y. Now in main function, y equal to 12 and x equal to 2, y equal to 12 and x equal to 2, and it will again call the function jumble of y comma jumble of y comma x. So y equal to 12 comma 2, so it will come to this function, x will get the value 12 and y will get the value 2. It will calculate 2 into x, 2 into 12 plus 2, that is nothing but 24 plus 2, that is nothing but 26. That 26 will be returned, and that will get stored in this x. Now x equal to 26, x equal to 26 in main function. Whenever this printf statement gets executed, this value will get printed. Now the value of x equal to 26, so option A is the right answer. Let us move on to the question number 7. In question number 7, we have a C program. In that, a global variable counter that is initialized with 0, and we have one function called calc, and in main function it is simply calling with the value 4,81. So I am simply calling calc of 4,81. When it is calling, the control will be transferred to this function calc, and it is having the local variables a, b, c and counter. I am simply writing the values of all those variables, a here, b here, then c, and simply I'm writing counter. Okay, so when it comes to the function body, the counter will be incremented. Now the counter equal to 1, and it will check whether b double equal to 3. Now the a is having the value 4, b is having the value 81, and it will check whether b double equal to 3, that is false, so it will execute the else part. In else part, it is calling the function calc of a comma b by 3, and it is assigned to 3. So first of all, it will call calc of a. What is the value of a comma b by 3? 81 by 3, that is nothing but 27. So it will again come to this function body. So a is having value 4 and b is having value 27, and the counter will be updated. Counter will be updated here, so counter will be having value 2, and it will again check b double equal to 3. That is again false, so it will execute the else part again. So it will again call calc of a comma b by 3, that is 27 by 3, that is 9. Okay, so a will get the value 4, b will get the value 9, and the counter will be again updated. Now counter equal to 3, and it will check again b double equal to 3, that is false, so it will again execute the else part. So it will again call calc of 4 comma b by 3, calc of 4 comma 3. So it will come to the function. It will assign a equal to 4, b equal to 3, and the counter is now 4, and it will check whether b double equal to 3, and b is now 3, so it will return a star a. The value of a equal to 4, so it will simply return 64. Now the control will be transferred to main function. Here the control will come to here. Okay, then it will print the value of a counter. Counter is a global variable and it is having value 4, so it will simply print the value 4. So option B is the right answer. Let us move on to the question number 8. In question number 8, we have a function called fun, and it is having one formal argument n, and it is simply called with the value 2 raised to 40. 2 raised to 40. So n, we will get the value n equal to 2 raised to 40, and this for loop will get executed with that value I equal to n, I greater than 1, and I equal to I by 2. So initially the value of I equal to n 2 raised to 40, 2 raised to 40 in first iteration. So when I equal to 2 raised to 40, the value of j will get incremented, j equal to 1, j equal to 1. Then I will get incremented by I equal to I by 2. 2 raised to 40 by 2 raised to 2, that is nothing but 2 raised to 39. So j will become 2. Then it will execute in this way: 2 raised to 39 by 2, 2 raised to 38, etc. up to finally 2 raised to 1. So it will execute 1 to 40. So j will be having 1, 2, 3, etc. up to j will be having final value 40. And next time I equal to I by 2, 2 by 2. So it is having value 1. So it will check I greater than 1. It will fail the condition. So finally the j will be having value 40. Then it will come to the next for loop. Then j is not initialized, but j is having some value 40. Then it will execute for j greater than 1, then j equal to j by 2. Now j is having value 40. Then it will check whether 40 greater than 1, then it will increment the sum by 1. Now the sum equal to 1, then j equal to j by 2, now 20. 20 greater than 1, sum is 2. Then 20 by 2, it is 10. 10 greater than 1, sum is 3. Then again 10 by 2, it is 5, sum is 4. Then 5 by 2, that is 2.5, we will get the value 2. 2 greater than 1, sum is 5. Then j equal to j by 2, 2 by 2, it is 1. 1 greater than 1, it is false. So finally sum will be having the value 5, so it will return the value sum. So option B is the right answer. Let us move on to the question number 9. In question number 9, we have a function called foo, and that is called with the value 5, 1, 3, and 2. I can simply call the function as foo of 513 comma 2. So that time n will get the value 513 and r will get the value 2. N will get the value 513 and r1 get the value 2. Then return if n greater than 0, n is greater than 0, so it will return n mod r plus n mod r, that is nothing but 513 mod 2. 513 mod 2 is nothing but 1. So 1 plus foo of n by r, 513 by 2, that is nothing but 256 comma 2. So n will be having the value 256 and r will be having the value 2. So it will find n mod r. N mod r is nothing but this will continue until n greater than 0. So 0 plus n mod r is 0 plus foo of n by r 256 by 2 128 comma 2. Then again n will be having value 128 and r will be having value 2. Then 0 plus foo comma 64 comma 2. This will continue in this manner until again n is having value 0. So it will be something like that. Finally it will call 0 plus foo plus 0 plus foo of 1 comma 2. So 1 mod r 1 mod 2 is nothing but 1. So 1 plus foo of n by r 1 by 2. 1 by 2 is nothing but foo of 0 comma r is nothing but 2. So at that time n greater than 0 become fail, so it will return the value 0. So it will return the value 0 0 plus 1. This will return the value 1 1 to here. Then 1 plus 0 1 plus 0 it will return the value 1. Again 1 plus 0 1. Here also it will 1 plus 0 1 1. Again 1 plus 0 1 1. It will return the value 1 here. Again 1 plus 1. Here you will get the value 1 1 plus 1. Finally you will get the value 2. So f of 513 comma 2 will get the value 2. So option D is the right answer. Let us move on to the question number. In question number 10 we have a function foo and it is having some argument, a character pointer, and that function is called with the input a b c d space e f g h. So whenever this function is called, now a will point to here and it will enter into the function body and it will check if star a, and a capital A is having ASCII value 65 and it will be represented internally something like that, like 65. Okay, so if star a, so it will check if star a is true because a is a true value because a is internally treated as a 65, so that is true value. And star a not equal to space, star a not equal to space, so it will call foo of a plus 1. Now a is pointing to here, now a plus 1 will point to here. So when we are calling this foo of a plus 1, now this a will get assigned to this a plus 1. Now this a will point here. Okay, now actually this, when you are calling this a plus 1, a will simply point here. Okay, it will again check if star a, so that is b, if star a and that is true and star a not equal to space, again it will call foo of a plus 1. Now a will get assigned with this value. Okay, so if star a, that is c, and star a not equal to space, that is again true, again calling foo of a plus 1, that a will get assigned with the next value. Okay, so star a, that is true, and star a not equal to space, that is again true. So again we are calling foo of a plus 1, that will pointing to this space. If star a, that may be true, so space is having some positive ASCII value, so if star a is true for space but star a not equal to space, that is false, so it will not enter into this for loop, so it will start returning from here. Put care of star a, so first of all the last called function will be returned, this will return. So put care of star a is nothing but so the function called for d will return first, then for c, then for b, then finally a. So first of all it will write put care of star a, so it will print d, then c, then b and a. So option D is the right answer. So if you like this video, please share the video and subscribe my channel Study Room for Computer Science. Thank you for listening.